Jayla, how's it going?
What's good? Okay, what's up, everyone? It's your girl, Jayla Jackson, your host and your socialite. And normally, you guys would see me like on set somewhere. And so I'm doing the same thing, which is these interviews and talking to phenomenal people. But just time, I'm doing it from college. And we are here with someone who is like so dear to my heart. And I'm so it's kind of like bittersweet because I'm like, dang, I remember when we first met versus now being able to interview you in a professional sense. That's actually crazy. But I won't talk too much. Isaiah, please tell the people a little bit about who you are and what you do.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Isaiah Stevens. I am a junior at the Hotchkiss School in Lakeville, Connecticut. And first and foremost, Jayla, thank you for this interview. I appreciate you reaching out. And yes, very near and dear to my heart. And it is weird sometimes thinking about just how long the journey has been. But yeah, I'm passionate about debating, dancing, advancing the gospel of Jesus Christ. Class president over at Hotchkiss, recently qualified for an international debate competition. So pleased to have qualified for that, and just ultimately trying to build bridges between people. That's my ultimate goal.
This is why I love him because y'all heard how he just tried to slide in that last part, like, oh yeah, I just kind of like qualified for an international debate competition or whatever. Like what? Let's get into that, please. Okay, tell me about it. So for background, Isaiah and I met as both students in what is formerly known as the Harvard Debate Project Diversity Council, where we both served as debaters for the cohort of 2021. And so if you follow me, you've been following me for a long time, you know that I was supported by a group of amazing people and ended up being one of the victors for that year. But a lot of us actually use debate to go into like something else, like how I did. But this kid still kept debating and is still dominating. So talk to me about that. We got done with Harvard. What did life look like after that, and how did we get here to now be about to debate in like a world championship?
I would say debate unlocked a sense of confidence that I hadn't had before. Like many times in school, people would be able to express their thoughts, but not in a critical way and not in a productive manner. And once I learned how to debate, it not only gave me a sense of initiative because now that I can think, I can make change, but also gave me that same sense of confidence. So now I can walk in many different spaces, many different rooms with powerful people, and negotiate on behalf of the communities that I'm representing, and even on behalf of myself early right now. But after I got finished with Harvard, and shout out to you for that dub again, um, I applied to Hotchkiss. I got in, and it was a new style of debate, parliamentary debate, and it's basically there's a government and an opposition, and the government will try to advance a proposition. So it's like this house would do X, Y, Z, or this house believes. This house would more practical. This house believes more philosophical. So most times I assume the role of the leader of the opposition or the minister of the crown. Those two roles are the main defense of the opposition or the government, and they have the core and crux. Well, they have, yeah, they carry the majority of the work for each side, as they are the ones doing the majority of the rebuttals. In HDP, you all, like, I appreciate that you all like crowned me the rebuttal king. And that's still something I take pride in, my ability to refute. And so I started off as a novice. I got moved up to advanced in the latter part of my sophomore year. And then this is my first year. Well, yeah, I guess the first full year being advanced. And we have tournaments that are world's qualifiers. And the tournament that I qualify for is called the World's International Debate and Public Speaking Competition. And me and my partner, Peter, we walked into that tournament. We were like, yo, there's a saying he told me about, you have to slay the bear before you can partition. And that really resonated with me because you can come in and have very lofty goals, but you need to take each thing step by step, take each day, day by day. And then if you focus on each day, it'll eventually accumulate until you reaching that goal. So we slayed the bear. Shout out to him for helping me out with that because he was really strong on the case building. And I would say I was had greater emphasis on the in-round debating. We had qualified. Recently, my boy Milan, one of our captains, he qualified too. and hopefully our other captain being qualified so that we can all travel to Australia and debate on behalf of the school, on behalf of the United States, but most importantly, on behalf of you all back home.
Do you hear how insane that is? Like, I'm blown away. Because, I mean, it's one thing to, like, you know, like we did represent a group of people. We came out there, we put on for our city, and we put on for our people. And we showed America what Black students can do when given access. But what you're about to do is on a whole different level, to represent the United States as a Black man in a space that typically is not for our people. That is actually freaking crazy. And I'm so incredibly proud. I know our whole cohort and the whole Veritas community is proud. I know your parents are proud. But how do you feel? Like, genuinely? Because I know sometimes with me, like, you'll accomplish something big and like everybody will be like, oh my God. And then you'll just kind of be like, oh. So where are you at mentally with it?
I'll say it's definitely a blessing. Got to give all glory to God for this opportunity. But I think I carry a weight on my shoulders, but not necessarily a burden, but more so a sense of responsibility because I have been given tools. And so not only are we taught to go back into communities, but we're also taught when we're given tools, we have a responsibility to represent. And I'm the only Black person on our debate team. But nevertheless, Black people like here at the school, even on the debate team and Black people back home are constantly looking up to me. And they applaud me and they applaud my success. But none of that really matters unless I understand that service is at the key. And so like I'm using my gifts like as an expression of passion. But if I don't go back and serve, if I don't use the ability to think critically, the ability to convey words in an eloquent manner to serve other people, then these gifts don't really accomplish anything besides a trophy or an Instagram post, all of which, we could get at any time. So mentally, I would say I still haven't realized the magnitude of it yet. I'll probably be more nervous once April comes around and I'm on that 26-hour flight to Australia. But for now, I would just say I need to get my reps in so that when I do go, I can actually put on and do the best I can, all of which to the glory of God, because he's the one that gave me the gift in the first place.
I love that. And y'all hear how grounded he is. I'm a believer too. And we have conversations all the time about
Oh,
how
for sure.
great that is. And even like the intricacies of being a believer and what faith looks like. And I love those conversations. I guess I want to also ask you about something that probably it's not foreign to me, but some of our viewers may be like, that's interesting. I've never seen that. I've never heard of that. You attend a boarding school in high school, which is also another thing that typically African American students don't do. Can you talk about your decision to attend boarding school? And keep it real with us. What's it like? Give us the rundown, give us the tea.
For sure. I get this question a lot when I give tours to prospective families. And I always tell them about this story. Our former Dean of Student Life, Mr. McKibben, on the Zoom meetings, he would always tell us about community and how we shouldn't be jerks. And how that is an important facet of the Hotchkiss experience. Me and my mom were skeptical. Of course, you're going to say that's what you're valuing because schools want to put their best foot forward. And given that this is a school with a 16-hour drive away with a demographic that is drastically different from the 98% African American school I attended my entire life, I'm like, sure, y'all got mad resources, you all have money, but why do I need to be in a space like that? And I realized that one, it showed me how to create a community for myself, because their emphasis on community wasn't exclusively bringing in students that can be a part of a strong community, but equipping students with the tools to create the community that they want to see. And so that sense of independence that we have here at boarding school doesn't stop at the homework or getting to sports practices or classes on time, but it's also you're living with these people for the next 4 years. And it's a small community. It's only 650 of us. And given that you're going to learn about all these people, all their experiences, how are you going to embrace that? And recently there was a DEI panel for prospective students from Prep 9. That's like another pipeline program for POC students in New York to attend elite boarding schools. And the faculty members on the panel talked about our intention in creating a diverse community. But I made sure I added that diversity doesn't stop at the community. It's about embracing that diversity. And I learned that the key to empathy is experience, but the way to access that is by meaningful conversation. What I mean by that is you can have so many different experiences from me, culturally, ethnically, perspectives, ideologies completely different from me. But you merely being around me doesn't make the community diverse if none of us have a diversity of thought. The purpose of a diverse community is to create people who have a better understanding of the human experience. And the way that happens is by having meaningful conversations. It's about thinking critically and ultimately destroying bias and not allowing stereotypes to speak for people, but allowing them to speak for themselves.
I think that's a great point. And like in the spaces where we have typically functioned, we have been responsible for leading that change. I go to a college where we are huge on diversity, huge on inclusivity, but consistently, and this is kind of similar to what you mentioned, I think that we get lost in the jargon of it all without understanding diversity is not just the placement of a bunch of different types of people in a group. It can't just be that.
Right.
Because if that was the case, if that was enough, our world wouldn't be the state. Well, our world wouldn't be in the state that it is. So clearly, just having a bunch of different people in a place doesn't initiate cohesion. It is that embrace. It is that, hey, let me get to know a culture outside of mine and not be scared of it because it's different. And so I'm glad to see that globally in different places, everybody's kind of having the same conversation. And consistently, I know you heard it. I know I hear it all the time, but like, I think that we do give hope to the generations who came before us and even to our own generation that there are people who are ready to, like I said, be those change agents and lead the change. I want to get into the fact, so I don't often get opportunities to talk to people who are like very similar to me, as in we're debaters and it's not like a switch that we can turn off. So can you talk about, you're a high school boy. On top of that, you're a Black boy. But you're also really freaking intelligent. Do you ever find times where you feel like you don't fit in? And if there are other boys out there who look at you and they're like, dang, I want that lifestyle, but I don't know that I would be accepted or that I could find confidence in it, what would you say to them? And are there personal experiences that you can draw on to create that advice?
I would like to harp on a scripture that reminds me of that point. It says, "Take heart, for you know that the community of believers throughout the world is undergoing the same kind of sufferings." And a bit of the context to that verse is that many times we as believers are struggling with sin, or we're struggling with different tribulations or difficulties, whatever it may be. And the scripture tells us that we need to be mindful that other believers are undergoing those same kind of things, so we don't think we're alone in that battle. And so I think it's important for two reasons. One, it encourages a sense of resilience, because if others have done it, we also can. And if we are not alone in the fight, we must also fight. But secondly, it reminds us that that community exists. And I want to take that principle to being the Black young intellectual man in a space like this. We have to be resilient because there are a lot of groups of people that don't, one, expect, and secondly, don't appreciate what we bring to the table. And I think that being an unapologetic thinker means that you have to think. Like, I mean, it seems pretty simple, but you have to think. You have to understand that your presence can be viewed as a challenge as opposed to an invitation to grow. And therefore, you use your critical thinking ability not to just like try to find that group constantly, but sometimes it's in a bit more specific way, weeding out which groups of people don't welcome that thought process, don't welcome that depth of thought, don't welcome that depth of conversation. And so for the young Black intellectual man who's struggling with that, I would say, one, that community does exist. But two, it also requires a sense of resilience, because if those people may not exist around you, or at least not immediately in your circle, you need to use that thinking ability to go into spaces where they do exist, but also forge those spaces, like forge the pathway for others like you to come into that space. So no longer you're no longer alone, but now you've created a way for other people who have been struggling with that loneliness to come together.
That's why I'm so glad we're doing this. Y'all don't understand. Like, we will get on the phone and be on the phone for like an hour or an hour and 30 minutes just thinking critically about the world that we live in. And it sounds weird, but it's fun. Like, we enjoy this. Like, this is something that gives me so much life. And it's not, I think it easily can be misinterpreted as like a sense of like uppityness. Like, oh, that TikTok sound was like, you got your degree and you think you know everything. That whole TikTok, I don't think that at all it stems from that place. I think we have been trained in the same space to think in the same way a lot of times, although we'll pull out different things. That framework is not common. And so it becomes like, oh, wait, I miss people who, man, like we'll see something and immediately it's like, oh, we've got the same 15 questions that we want to ask. And the fact that that's our starting place, that means we can pull individually 15 different answers. And imagine how rich the conversation becomes when you have the ability to do that. And that's why I'm just so glad that we can do this interview so I can show other people, like, this is not a joke. This is real life. These are real human beings who are like this. And this is the community that you can be a part of, like you were saying. And so I want to wrap up by you telling the people how they can follow you on this journey. I've been on you about your social media presence. Y'all, we get him right. Don't worry. Y'all, we're going to be all up in the mix. He's going to vlog the whole experience. It's going to be great. You know why? Because I'm going to make sure it's great. But where can they find you currently, and how can they continue to support you in worlds and everything like that?
I would say the first way to support me is prayer. Like, I need that above all else. Because as much as I appreciate texts of affirmations and follow requests, all that stuff, like, prayer is the most powerful. It's the most important. So please support me that way. But also, it's also supporting yourself, because you're getting right with God in the process by interceding on my behalf. But yeah, my Instagram is Isaiah ST _. So feel free to follow. And I appreciate everybody's support so far. So yeah, I think that's really it. Yeah.
He's so shy, y'all. We're working on it. By the end of this, he'll be like, yeah, what's up, Team USA? You know who it is. It's your boy Zay. That's what we're working towards.
No, I can turn that on, though. I can turn that on. What's up, everybody? Team USA, it's your boy Isaiah right here. Y'all go ahead and follow me. Stay with my journey at Isaiah ST _ on IG. Keep me in y'all's prayers and trust we will handle business. Like, I mean, I just trying to find that balance.
Yeah, come on, balance. Well, y'all know what it is. He told y'all what it is. We out here, Team USA. Debate is a sport. I will always say that. And please support this precious intellectual and just a wholeheartedly good person. If you watch this whole interview, you can hear how humble and how equipped he is for leadership. And so I'm gonna keep supporting. I'm gonna keep following your journey. You can catch him on my socials. As you already know, follow me at the Jayla Jackson, and follow me on YouTube, Jayla Jackson, to watch the show on the Socialite. Isaiah, thank you so much for coming.
Of course, Jim.
All right, that's a wrap on us, guys.